It's official, Sonos have announced a new era is on the way with 2 brand new speakers launching this month. There's been lots of leaks, speculations and rumours, but the confirmation is here and we have all of the information that you need. So Era 100 and Era 300 are launching on the 28th of March and we have a lot that we need to test out once we get our hands on them. So you'll definitely want to subscribe to catch those reviews coming very soon. But for now, let's share everything that we know so far. And a little spoiler for you, yes, it includes Bluetooth, line-in connections, upwards firing rears, and the possibility of a 7.2.4 Sonos home cinema setup. So buckle up. Starting with the Era 100, this is essentially the next step on from the Sonos One, which is in its 3rd iteration with the Gen 2 and is now in its 10th year since the launch of the original Play One. So far with the One, we've seen evolutions, but they've never been this drastic. In fact, it sounds like Sonos have ticked every box that we've ever asked for from the Sonos One. Firstly, and most importantly, price. Era 100 is going to retail for £249, so £50 more expensive than the Sonos One Gen 2. Now, whether it's worth that step up in price, I guess we'll find out when we get our hands on one. Now, the new Era 100 is making some big promises when it comes to sound upgrades. Sonos have upgraded the woofer, which is now 25% larger and apparently only just fits within the unit itself to keep a compact form factor, so we should get significantly deeper bass. Now, interestingly, if any of you saw our HomePod 2 versus Sonos One Gen 2 video, the bass on the Sonos One was lacking some oomph, so that will be a very interesting comparison. Era 100 versus HomePod 2. And I saw lots of you already asking for that in the comments. But it's not just bass that should be different, as the Era 100 is now a stereo speaker, not mono like the One Gen 2. It's got 2 angled tweeters, which should give a much wider soundstage, and they've added custom waveguides, which was described to us almost like a fisheye lens, and they'll work to amplify dispersion of sound waves for that wider soundstage. There's also 3 Class D digital amps to power that sound performance, and plus Sonos have included a 47% faster processor and co-neural processor, which are supposed to help with performance and connection, and obviously future-proofs this speaker for any software upgrades. Obviously, a lot of testing does need to be done to see how all of this works in reality, but in terms of changes, this is a pretty major evolution, which will hopefully bring a great upgrade in sound. You can of course still pair 2 Era 100s for an even wider soundstage or to use as rears in a home cinema setup, and again, we cannot wait to test that out. We've also got a win for the Android lovers with both of these new speakers. Sonos have finally introduced a version of TruePlay tuning which doesn't require an iOS device. Quick tuning will use the microphones on the speaker itself to acoustically optimize the speaker without needing to use an iOS device, so that's going to make a lot of you out there very happy. However, for Apple users, Sonos have said that moving around the room and doing the traditional version of TruePlay is still the best method. Now, some of the biggest changes for this speaker are actually connectivity, and in possibly the biggest twist that I certainly didn't see coming, Sonos have added Bluetooth to both of these speakers. Yep, these speakers support Bluetooth 5.0, which has clearly been such a common request that Sonos couldn't possibly ignore it any longer. You also get support for Wi-Fi 6 with Era 100 and 300, which should bring better reliability too for those of you who, like me, prefer the uninterrupted playback that you get with connection over Wi-Fi. Another major addition is a line input, so you can connect up to an external audio source like a turntable or CD player. Now, unfortunately, you are going to need a separate dongle for these, which, you guessed it, isn't included in the box, but I am really pleased that the capability is there. An Era 100 with a turntable is bound to be a popular setup, and it gives a much more accessible way to enjoy vinyl on your Sonos. Final big change with the Era 100 to discuss is the design. At first glance, it doesn't look too different, but there's certainly a nice modern feel to this speaker. It's slimmed down a bit and is slightly taller than the One, but otherwise not too dissimilar in form factor. Now, one big change though is the top panel and the capacitive touch controls. They've added a little groove for the volume slider, which 1 means that you can feel for the volume if the speaker is behind you, and 2 means it's a lot easier to quickly go to 50% volume, for example. There's a tangible point for that now. Now, they've also added a physical switch to turn the mics off for those who would prefer that. Sonos have also made changes to the design of these speakers to make them more sustainable, using recycled materials and less virgin plastics. They've also said they've worked to reduce energy usage when the speaker isn't in use, as for the majority of us, this is the case for most of the day. Now, don't worry, I've already ordered some energy monitoring plugs to test the difference between the One and Era 100 in idle, so we'll see just how much they've really changed there. Now, I will admit, I've got a fair few of the 1 Gen 2s around my home, so I was a little bit gutted when I heard that there was a new version coming out. But I have reminded myself that a new version doesn't make the ones that I have any worse. It does give me a lot of FOMO though. But I've told myself I'm not making any decisions until I've put them head to head to really see if the upgrade is worth it. But judging by the boxes Sonos are now ticking with this speaker, I can see this being a hugely popular addition to their lineup. Before I move on to Era 300, we're going to give you guys a chance to win one of each of these speakers in a competition. It's nice and simple. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to this YouTube channel. You comment your thoughts down below on the new speakers along with your Instagram handle, and make sure you're following us over on our Instagram. We'll be messaging the winners directly from our official Instagram account, as well as revealing the winners in a live on our channel on launch day, the 28th of March. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And no, we don't have a Telegram, so ignore any spam comments. It's not us. On to Era 300 then, the speaker that we've heard rumours about for what feels like years now. Whenever we chat to you guys or do any polls, upwards firing rears or a Dolby Atmos speaker always comes out pretty high. So this is certainly an exciting new product for many of us. There are a lot of similarities to the Era 100. So just to tick those off, this speaker has Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth support, TruePlay for Android, line-in connectivity, a new sustainable design, and new top panel touch controls. It is, however, £449 and seemingly a major step up from the performance of the Era 100. It's not an evolution of any existing Sonos product, but for us, the start of a new category of speaker. It's a single speaker designed to deliver a Dolby Atmos spatial audio experience for either music or movies. So let's talk sound. Sonos have said that this speaker is a major step for the brand and is then moving with the times and the demands people have for their audio experiences. Dolby Atmos is becoming more and more mainstream, and I think it's something like 85 albums in the Billboard Top 100 are recorded in Dolby Atmos. Getting a performance that is as close to the way the artist has recorded it is something that a lot of people are looking for these days, so it looks like the Era 300 has been designed to offer that. Sonos have said that they've worked very closely with industry professionals to achieve a sound performance that's as close to how the artist or producer intended it, which I think is what is needed for Dolby Atmos tracks. The Era 300 will deliver a spatial audio experience from a single unit, which I just cannot wait to test out. Looking at the architecture, there's a lot going on under the grille and a very different acoustic makeup to any of Sonos's other speakers. We've got 6 drivers positioned around the front, sides, and top of the speaker. There are 4 tweeters for the highs and mids, so we've got 1 at the front for the center channel, 2 side-firing tweeters for the stereo, and then an upward-firing tweeter for the high-in Atmos content. There are also 2 woofers which are angled left and right to support stereo playback. I think we'll dive deeper into the internals of this speaker in our full review once we've tested it out, but for now, I've got my fingers crossed it lives up to the hype. Of course, we're also dying to test a pair of these out as rears in a Sonos home cinema setup. So you could add a pair of Era 300s to a Sonos soundbar as upward firing rears. With an ARC and 2 sub-Gen 3s, this would then give you a 7.2.4 setup, which I just cannot wait to test out because that should be a pretty incredible audio experience. Now, the design of the Era 300 is also a big talking point, and from initial images, it looks like it might be a little bit like Marmite. It still has a Sonos feel to it, it's still sleek and aesthetic, but the shape is, well, it's different. Now, I presume this is all to incorporate the internals that we've got going on with this speaker, but again, I cannot wait to get one in front of me and see what it looks like in real life, as it can be a little bit surprising how different things can look in a real-world setting. So I'm open to the design. So lots to talk about, lots to test out, and a lot of comparisons to do. I've already got some big videos lined up, including a test of that 7.2.4 setup, in-depth reviews, Era 100 versus 300, Era 100 versus Sonos 1 Gen 2, and versus HomePod 2, and I'm sure others will come up, but let me know what you want to know about these products too. These speakers will be launching on the 28th of March and are available to pre-order now if you're already sold. Personally, I can't wait to review these speakers, and I'll give you all my thoughts very soon, but it's great to see Sonos pushing the smart speaker category forward. Of course, if you're in the UK and you want to make the most of our extended 6-year warranty and want to support us, then the QR code is here and the link is in the description. And if you're in the US, then be sure to support our friends over at Audio Advice. For now, I'll see you guys in the comments, as I can't wait to hear what you think.